Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a box card to share with you. That is my third entry for the annual card design superstar contest by My Favorite Things. So there are 3 categories and you can participate once on each of them. I'm really happy that I got to make a card again yesterday so that I still have my 3 entries, because otherwise I would have had only the clean and simple card, which I truly adore. So it was alright, but I'm glad that I was able to make 2 more entries so that I could try it on all of the categories. So the box card master category is the one that I am creating today and sharing with you. In case you want to participate still, as I said, you can participate 3 times, once for each category. And I think the deadline is today, depending on where you're living. You have still a few hours or not. I cannot recall. I every time need to find like a converter to tell me how much time I still have, because those different time zones are really, for me, it's the worst. But I still had some time figured out that, and then yesterday I decided to create a box card. So my card for today, for the box, I used the Outside the Box Level Up die. I never use these sides where they are going higher up. So for today's card, I thought, why not? And in my head, I was going to combine cracked pistachio with this lovely yellow cardstock. But I just wasn't sure about it. When I laid everything on top, I just thought it was a bit screaming. So I went for a more neutral cardstock, and I decided to die cut the bigger bow here out of Dove cardstock. It's from Concord and 9th. And here I still contemplated. As you can see, sometimes just laying both options next to each other help you with the decision that you need to make. Now with all the pieces ready, I just made sure to ink blend on the edges and the front, like I did on the arch kind of thing. The inserts I didn't do because I always create a gradient towards white, and so these elements can be just white because they are maybe snow. Well, in my opinion, they are snow because I'm going to make a Christmas card. And then for the background, to make it a bit interesting, I decided to take out the birch tree forest cover-up, which has been released a while, I think last year. And I just die cut it out of white cardstock. Again, I'm playing with that white cracked pistachio, and then I will just add that gray in the back as well as for my sentiment. So I die cut it completely, and then I sort of figured out how I wanted to add it to my background. And I just started adding liquid glue there where I thought it was going to overlap, so that everything really sticked really well. So I'm just going in all those tiny areas as well, and then I'm going to add these trees on top. As you can see, there is a lot overhanging. No worries, you are going to snip that off. I'm going to use some scissors. If you're uncomfortable with scissors, you can still die cut it if you want to, using the die from the Outside the Level box up. But I just went around, I took my time to really follow the shape of my die cut background, and then I just made sure to trim off all of the excess. So once I did that, I sort of had all of my elements for the box, so I decided to first adhere everything together, so to create that box. Now, as you already saw me doing, every time that I'm creating a box, most of the time, well, every time, most of the time, don't pin myself on that, but I always score it again, so there are always those small score lines made by the die, which is really handy. But just to be able to fold them and have everything straight, I tend to use my scoreboard to go over it again to reinforce that a bit, and then I can easily bend it correctly. Also, whenever I'm creating a box card, I use Scor Tape. For me, personally, that's the most secure tape that there is, or adhesive. Liquid glue, it just takes a while to dry, and I don't have the patience for that. And then there is also the adhesive roller, which is great, but mine, well, in the past, the one that I used was only permanent after a bit, so that also could be teared apart while doing. So for box cards, I most of the time use Scor Tape because that's really secure on there. Now, whenever I'm folding over my elements here, I will all adhere them together at once to the other side. Now, to be sure that everything is straight, I sort of try to line it up with my craft mat, which wasn't really easy here, and so there was one that was a bit crooked, but I just peeled it off and stuck it again on there to have it straight. It could have gone wrong completely, and then I could start over again, but it went okay, so no worries. And then I'm going to adhere the background element on top of the gray and then to the box. Now, normally I do it the other way around or in another order, but there are many ways to assemble your box cards, just to you, I suppose, and do whatever you feel comfortable with. So here I am adding the tabs on the back. I'm always covering the back up with another piece of white cardstock so that nothing is visible like that. I will do it afterwards at the end of my card. I didn't record that, but I think you know how I did that. I just do that so that I can cover the most up. I don't want the tabs to be visible on my background, so putting it behind is the logical way to do for me, and then just add a white panel and everything is just fine. So that was my box, and now for the coloring. I am going to color it mostly exactly the same because I wanted to have a really simple, bright, but also light box card. So I went for this yellow combination, which I used in the past ones, but I added a W2, which is not that dramatic, but it really helps. And I just wanted to add it on one of my cards following my clean and simple entry for my favorite things, as well as the card with the snowman where I was inspired by Nikki Meek. Because I didn't know when I was doing the pink combination from Nikki Meek, I didn't know whether she started with the grays or she started with the pinks and added the grays in the end. And well, since I'm doing the voiceovers, I pronounced that I didn't know exactly how she did it, but I liked what I created, so that was already a bonus. But then she reacted on my video, specifically the one where where the inspiration came from her. I also pinned her comment so that you can easily find that because I think it's really useful. And there she said that she first adds the color, then she adds the gray in the end. So I tried it here with the yellow. I didn't have a lot of markers in the combination, so I went over the gray again with the yellow, which felt better for me. But in case you want to try it out, what Nikki Meek did, she first adds the color and then she adds the grays. She also gave a bit of tips in her comments, so definitely check it out if you're curious to know what she does or thinks. It's pinned, so normally it should be the first comment below that video with the Hello Bluebird Snowman, where I create 3 quite similar cards but still different ones. Okay, so here with the coloring, as I said, I'm going to do exactly the same. So once this bear is done, I'm going to color the others. I'm not showing that because that would be a lot of repetition. Sorry. But as I said, I did it exactly the same way. Also shadowing, light source is sort of centered, and then I will still do the penguins. So for the penguins, I didn't want to go too dark, so my darkest gray for the combination is going to be W6, and then we will work down to W3, and then on the belly I just did some flicking with the W1 just to give it a bit of shadowing, but not too heavily. And then I just did the same as for the bears. I have a centered light source. Also something that I did but later on, which would have been great here, is that I added a few white jelly roll pen details, which I actually never do because it scares me and I don't know where to add them, and there are several card makers that really know how to put them, and it's great, and I just love it. I made a card before the operation where I did tons of white jelly roll pen accents, but I haven't shared it yet. But I think it's coming next week because I already did the voiceover, so it's ready to post whenever I think about it. But with the deadline, I first had to share this card. I did it quite minimalistic on this card. I don't know if it's really that visible on the pictures, but they are there. But I did it only the moment that it was already adhered to the box. It wasn't really easy to add it that way, but I did it however. So I'm going to take the matching dies here. I'm going to die cut all of the elements out, and then we will be able to start kind of looking how to assemble this card. So whenever I'm die cutting my elements, I always keep them in place using some purple tape, post-it notes that are sticky. You can do anything you like as long as they stay in place, because you don't want your dies to shift while die cutting. So here we have all our elements. Concerning the penguins, I wasn't sure where I was going to add them, but I had here 3 levels where I wanted to add a bear on each level. I also want everything to be a bit visible. I don't want them to be in a line, so I did like a zigzag kind of thing. And yeah, just making sure that they are not covering completely the other one. Of course, there is a box and you can add many more items. I did it in the past, I will do it still. Or you can keep it quite simple, like I did here, and let each individual image kind of shine. Also, the way that the edges go upwards gave me the opportunity to put the bears a bit lower and still be able to see them completely. So that was really something nice about this kind of box. So those are the bears. And then I decided to first figure out sentiment-wise what I was going to do. I took the frosted alphabet from my favorite things, and I wanted to actually create a sentiment that is inside of the stamp set, which is saying warm winter hugs, but I wanted the hugs to be a big word. So I took the same gray cardstock as in the back to cut out the letters, and I also took some white cardstock to do so that I could use the frosting on top of it. Actually, the sentiment, it was a really funny thing. I saw someone create a stunning box card for, I think it was Purple Onion Designs. One of the design team members, truly stunning. She used this die set for the sentiment. And I realized that I purchased this alphabet set a while back, and I had no clue where it was, so I was looking for it. Once I got the idea to create a box card, I looked for the dies and I didn't find them. I was so frustrated. So I went in in the history of my orders, I saw that it was from July, from the release of July, and then I realized that actually this was released right before the move. So I hadn't put it in bags because I didn't want to put it away with all of the stamps that I already used. I tried to not put my stamps or dies away when I haven't used them, so that I am reminded that I still have to use them. So I didn't put them in like those pockets from Avery L that I use all the time, and I had no clue where I put it. And then all of a sudden I saw that on my side I have like all the cards that I already shared but I haven't stamped with my logo. I have it on the side piled up, and there underneath there was a box. And so it took me a while to find the box because it's really covered in a pile. I need to stamp my logo on all of the cards to see what I already have as cards. But I opened the box and there were a ton of stamps and dies that I have never used. That just were waiting to be put away after the move, and I was so embarrassed about it. So I still need to feature quite a lot of stamps. This die was one of them. Really glad that I found them and could use it on this card, and I hope that I will be able to use it on other cards because I find it so cool. This alphabet set is really amazing. Okay, so I've had my hugs, and then I white heat embossed the warm wish in winter. but I didn't like the way that I cut it out. I used scissors and such, and I'm really bad at that, so it just wasn't feeling right. I tried it on white cardstock with black ink. It didn't feel right either. I tried to put the cracked pistachio on the white so that it was covered and it matched more with the background. It was horrendous. And then after adding the hugs and such here, I ended up again white heat embossing it on this gray cardstock and cutting it out with a sentiment strip die to help me because I'm the worst. So let's first do the hugs here. I placed them a bit wonky, the letters, and I really liked it, so I just used some purple tape to keep everything in the same place, and then I could add it all together to the box. So that's what I'm doing here. I also let the purple tape sit for a bit so that everything could dry. Still was too impatient, but I took my time to peel it off, and it worked great. And then we can again create that secondary sentiment. I really love this die. I don't know if you have it and if you love it as well, but I mean, it's really cool. And it's also like the frosted. There are also design team members that use it like a donut kind of way, which is great as well. It's really volatile, and you can make it a rainbow if you want to. You can do so many things. Oh, I first did the white jelly roll pen, which was really hard. As you can see, the images were overlapping. I had to switch from the left to the right to be able to get to every area that I wanted to add a few highlights. But I'm glad I did. From time to time, maybe I can start adding highlights, but I will not do that all the time because, well, I just have no clue what I'm doing here. But it was fun, and it really helps. It's also just to make it a bit more cute, maybe. So, yeah. So once the highlights are added, I'm going to create secondary sentiment, as I said so. I really love how these hugs turned out, and I think it can work as well like this, but I had my mindset on the warm winter, so I couldn't leave that. So I stamped it out manually. I'm really bad at it, so once I added the white embossing powder, I saw that the final letter wasn't stamped completely, so I stamped it again. And added some white embossing powder again. This is the Ranger white superfine detail, which is one of the only ones that I have, and it works great, so I'm not buying anything else. I think for the embossing powders for myself, I don't necessarily do that really often, heat embossing, that this really is a category of supplies where I was able to stay strong and not have to buy it all, which is not always easy. Because, well, everything is so nice and wonderful, and if you have it, you have so many more options and such. Well, those are my excuses at least. So I took a sentiment strip die here to help me with the sentiment. Made sure that it was aligned straight, and then I had the sentiment die. Normally I die cut the other edge as well, but then I thought this can help me to adhere the sentiment. And I tried it on the top as well, but it was just too far away in my opinion. Then I needed to trim it off again, and let's call me lazy for once. No, I'm a lazy card maker, I think. I love having the same colors, but maybe it's deep down, I know maybe that it's also being a bit lazy, I don't know, but it works as well, so why would I change it? So I have the sentiment a bit wonky, I have the hugs a bit wonky, so I thought that was a nice idea. Now, you can stop right here. And then I figured out that I had these NUVO crystal drops, simply white, which is just a white kind of jelly kind of thing in a jar that you can add. And originally, in my head, NUVO drops were only for like really those dots that you add, like snowy dots. But lately, the last 2 years, I think, I have been using it like sort of glossy accents as well, which is great. And for snow, it's really fun. But in case you don't have this, since I use the white cardstock, I think it's perfectly doable to just add glossy accents, and then you will have this more snowy feel maybe as well. You don't need to, or you can add glitter if you want to. I contemplated about glitter. And then once I did those hugs, like the icing of it, the frosting, I decided to also add some of this Simply White crystal drops on the trees, as being snow that has fallen and is stuck there on the branches. So I did that, and then my card is completely finished. This is my box card. So I still added like a white panel in the back to finish it off, but I am not showing that because everything needed to dry. And that is my card for today. So this is my final entry for the current annual card design superstar contest, Buy My Favorite Things. I want to thank you all for stopping by. I hope that you participated. Otherwise, there is still some time. And then I hope that I could inspire you with this box. I want to thank you all for being here, for supporting me. I truly appreciate you all. And I want to wish you all an incredible day. And I'll be back soon with some new crafty inspiration. Bye!